Hey, how are you? I'm Jerry Plum from Tech Ops International. We're here at Godfather Airsoft. We're going to discuss a couple things about safety. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Anyone that knows me knows that I take training pretty serious. I'm either as serious can get, or I joke around all the time, one or the other. This is one of those times I really can't joke around. We live in New Jersey here. New Jersey has one of the toughest gun law states in the country. And we're starting to see that other states are starting to try to catch up, and obviously the airsoft thing is pretty important to us, and we see the laws starting to change. This isn't an immediate change; it's a gradual change, and it's things that have been happening for a long time. But with each incident, people take it more serious. What I have here is anytime I see a newspaper article or something, anything having to do with guns, I take it and I put it away for the next date that I'm going to need it. We were talking about the SB 798 California bill that they're trying to pass for airsoft. What that includes is they want to change the outlook of what the guns are, how they're shaped. They don't want them to look so much like real guns. They want to change the color of them. It would graphically change the entire airsoft market if that were passed. And California is a fantastic state for airsoft. We don't want to lose that, and we also understand that what happens in some of the bigger states will be mimicked towards other states. And this bill is something that New Jersey has been trying to pass for a long time. What I have here is a newspaper article from August 17th, 2009, and it's more or less describes how police officers are handling the concept of toy guns. And this article was pretty damaging for the airsoft community, but it's important for public safety. So what I really want to talk about today is the concept of safety, the perception of safety, and how we can add or change it. Let's introduce a couple things. Glock 17 airsoft gun, right? It's a nice looking gun with the barrel closed. If you saw it in my waistband, it'd be pretty concerning, right? It'd be a bad place to keep this. If you saw it in my holster, that'd be a bad place to keep this. Here's my off-duty gun, Glock 19. This is a real gun. You can understand the concern why law enforcement has some problems with these guns. We're going to do some things. We're going to do some safety tips. We're actually going to go up to the store and show some different things that in the airsoft community, I've been in the store 100 times in the last month. And you just see people doing it. They're uncool, they're unsafe things that you're going to have to get in your head. The only way we're going to stop these laws from coming into existence is you're going to have to get in your head that these are real guns. They need to be treated like real guns. They have high velocity projectiles that at a close distance could take your eye out. If you're sitting somewhere in a room, you got to treat it like a real gun. And that's what we're going to show you today. We're going to show you how to handle a real gun. So if I walked up and I saw this gun sitting on the table, this is an airsoft gun. You and I know this is an airsoft gun. What are we going to do? We're going to treat it like an airsoft gun for two reasons. One, because it's just a cool thing to do. And two, you're demonstrating how you treat things. You're showing your knowledge of gun safety and gun awareness. And people are going to look at you and say, wow, that dude's really got his head together. So if I see this on the table, or if I'm going to pick this up and hand it, what am I going to do? I'm going to turn to an outside wall. If I have the ability to pick this up, what I'm going to tell you, if it's not yours, don't pick it up. If you're in a place where you're not out, if you're not sure, don't touch it. If you find it on the ground, call the cops. This might have just been used in an armed robbery or something. Don't touch it. If it is yours, or if you have permission to touch it, and you don't remember if you kept it loaded or charged with air or not, this is the best thing to do. Every time you pick up this gun, turn to an outside wall away from people. Don't point it at anybody. Go to an outside wall, remove the magazine source. That way if there's an accident, there's one accident, not multiple accidents, right? Point to the outside wall, rack the side. Rack it, rack it, rack it, rack it. As soon as you know it's cleared, charge it. We also know that this is the compression. All the gas and everything is in here. So as soon as you cleared it, you think it's cleared, you know that there could still be one in here, and as soon as you put the magazine in, it charges, right? So you got to find a safe place to clear this at. What I would strongly suggest is wherever you're training at, wherever you're if you're in a house and you guys are shooting each other, get a box with some paper in it or something like that. Make a clear out box where you can charge it and just shoot into it. Make sure there's no rounds into the magazine. If there's one in the chamber, compress the air into it and shoot into the box. And then do the same thing as, make sure that you know this thing's empty. So we're going to go to the 4 safety rules. Obviously treat every gun as if it's loaded. I just told you that, right? So if I pick this up here, we're going to treat it as if it's loaded. So what we're going to do, we're going to unload it. If we have the right to touch it, drop the magazine, rack the slide to an outside wall, remove the energy source off of it. Without this in it, it can't be charged, right? Next thing we're going to do, perception is everything. If I pick this thing up, only point it at something you intend to shoot. Or if you're air gaming it, if you're trying to practice your trigger pull, whatever, make sure that it's a safe environment to do that in. If I pick this up off the counter and I'm sitting here, oh man, that's a great gun. First thing I do, I put my finger on the trigger and I'm looking down at it. I got my finger on the trigger pointed at the guy right next to me. That's uncool. That's so uncool. It's unbelievably uncool. So if someone sees you doing that, especially here at Godfather Airsoft, if you come into our store and they take the magazine source out, rack it, charge it to an outside wall, if you point it at somebody with your finger on the trigger, they're going to ask you not to handle guns anymore. We don't want you touching stuff if you're not doing smart things with it. So, first, treat every gun as if it's loaded. Even if it's not loaded, treat it as if it's loaded. Keep it pointed away from people. Only point it at things you intend to shoot. So if I'm sitting here like, hey man, what do you think about my new airsoft gun? This is pretty bad, huh? Your buddy's probably thinking, hey, do you mind getting that thing out of my face? Really, seriously, is that cool? Now, don't put your finger on the trigger till you're ready to shoot. Now if I had the gun pointed at the target and I had my finger on the trigger, how super uncool is that? I mean, just in a police officer perspective, whether I saw that red dot or not, I'm as colorblind as it gets, I'm going to tell you right now. If you point this at me, especially with your finger on the trigger, it'll probably be the last bad thought you had to go through your mind. Alright? Know your target and beyond. Airsoft, if you're hitting your target, there's a good chance this isn't going to go through your target. But if you're shooting at paper, if you got a piece of paper hanging a target, and there's people walking across your back of your target, know your target and behind. Don't shoot paper targets knowing that there's people walking around. Only you is going to mess this up for everybody else. If you're using this on an unsafe way, there's a good chance you're going to get charged with possession of a handgun. If you ever decide to store this way, you'll have a lot of explaining to do with cops. If you're driving down the street with your buddy and the guy cuts you off and you decide to scare him by brandishing your airsoft gun, we call that aggravated assault. If you install fear with a weapon, it's as good as pointing it at him and pulling the trigger. You really got to know wherever you're playing and wherever you're training hard, you've got to know what the rules are. So what I'm explaining to you is, don't do anything with this that you wouldn't do with a real gun. Treat it as if it was loaded. Treat it as if it was a real gun. Because I'm going to tell you right now, anyone that's looking at you with this gun in your hand thinks it's a real gun. Just like anyone that's looking at me right now, this is a real gun. This is a real gun. Can you tell the difference from here, not looking at the front of it? So if we could expand these safety rules just to airsoft, if we kind of drop the level a little just to understand that these are airsoft guns, this would be a really good concept. Know your target and beyond. Always know what you're shooting at. You know, if there's someone behind it that's not part of your airsoft game, obviously don't shoot. Keep your finger off the trigger at all times until you're ready to shoot. And obviously don't load the gun until you're ready to shoot it, and that's very important in airsoft because the compression's inside the magazine. I really want to stress this stacked level of security. If you put all of these things into play, you won't have an accident. If you take away one of those things, well, maybe you could have an accident. If you take away two of those things, chances are you're going to have an accident. And if you don't care about safety, you will definitely have an accident. And these are the things that create laws like the one in California, which is something you'll probably see in New Jersey as well, and other states that just don't like people running around with look-alike guns. All right, another thing I want to talk about is if you're going to have a gaming mentality, right now these airsoft guns need to be perceived as gaming mentality. You don't ever want to store these things improperly. You don't want to throw them in your pocket. You don't want to throw them in your waistband. You don't want to throw them in your book bag. Never throw them in your book bag, and I'll tell you why. Because you go to pull your books out and the teacher sees that in the book bag, it's just uncool, man. Like, I can't really stress that. So please, if you buy an airsoft gun, parents, if you buy your kids an airsoft gun, have enough common courtesy to get a case, get some cool Molly paramilitary gear, and load it up with all their favorite patches. Godfather Airsoft has a ton of patches. They even have that guy patch, and sometimes I've been accused of being that guy, good and bad. So, but I'd like to think I was that guy, but who knows? Make sure you get your kids the right safety equipment so that they don't get themselves into trouble when you're not around. All right, going back to what we were saying about safety and safety gear, there's certain things that we're going to have to push real heavy. I said before about having guns in certain types of bags. We don't want you to have a gun in a clandestine type bag. You don't ever want to be walking through school with a Nike backpack. Obviously, you're never going to bring your airsoft gun to school. That's just not what we're going to do. But you don't ever want to be walking through a place with a gun stowed in a clandestine bag. If you're going to have this gun stowed somewhere, have it stowed in a bag designed for airsoft guns. This is a standard rifle case. It's great for real rifles. I use it for plenty of real rifles. We have it marked, Godfather Airsoft. Anyone that sees that emblem, they'll have a good idea that this is an airsoft gun bag. Mark it up with all your other stuff too. Put all your goofy patches on it. Put all the patches that represent you as a whole. Put them on the bag and let people know that this is not a real gun in the bag. Helmet. This is a line from Godfather Airsoft that we really want to endorse hard because it's the best safety piece of kit you can have. Get shot in the head and hits this thing. I mean, I almost feel like this would be one of the best helmets you could find for other stuff too. I mean, it's a really durable helmet. You're going to have to try it on for yourself to know what I'm talking about. Wraparound eye gear. Any type of wraparound eye gear you have, you got to make sure that it comes straight to your face and there's no crevices of air anywhere in between. You want to make sure that it comes straight up to your face. Make sure it's breathable because these things will fog up real quick. You want to make sure that it's touching every part of your skin wrapped around your eyes. If a BB can get in there, it will. And last thing, full wraparound face mask. We really request that you wear these. If you go to the indoor arena that they're setting up, you're really going to have this. If you get shot in the face, you get shot anywhere on bare skin, it hurts and it's going to leave a mark. All right, listen, I appreciate you taking the time to share this video. Put it out there. Let your parents know. Let everybody know. Let politicians know that we're trying to take this extremely serious. The way you really let them know is you show good safety habits. If you pass a safety habit on to one person, they pass on to someone else, we become safer people. Not only that, as a profession, we become better. People look at airsoft. Law enforcement looks at airsoft as a true training capability. It's not just a game, it's a lifestyle. We have a good time with it. It's a family time for us. If you push safety, it's contagious. I'm not telling you to go out and catch everybody slipping because it's still a sport. You don't have to call everybody out every chance you get. But if you let them know to be safe and then they let other people know to be safe, you take advantage of all the things we talked about today. Just try to remember that perception is everything. People see you with look-alike guns in their minds and in the minds of the police and all the people they call. They're real guns. There's a guy walking down the street with a real gun. That's what they're thinking. So if you have it in your mind all the time and you're conscious of what you're doing, you stick to these safety rules real hard, treat each other with respect, at the end you're going to get respect back from all the people that perceive you. Thanks for your time and thanks for joining us at Godfather Airsoft and Tech Ops International.